In the world of MotoGP, change often comes without warning, and sometimes a single injury can alter the direction of a team, even a rider's career. The 2025 MotoGP season became a chapter Marco Bezzecchi never imagined for himself. For the first time in his premier class career, he stood not as a satellite rider, nor as an outside challenger, but as a member of the Aprilia factory team, a major leap in his professional journey. For Bezzecchi, this move wasn't just about a new uniform or a different bike. It was a change of identity. He left behind the familiar environment of VR46, the place where he grew, learned, and developed as a protege of Valentino Rossi. Now, he found himself in the Noale factory garage, a team with history, big ambitions, and far greater pressure. But the beginning of this story turned out to be even more dramatic than expected. Aprilia had originally built its 2025 MotoGP project around one central name, Jorge Martin, the reigning world champion, the focal figure, the rider expected to lead both the technical direction and on-track performance. Bezzecchi did not arrive at Aprilia as the team leader. He was meant to be the supporting rider, a strong presence backing Martin's major project. But MotoGP rarely follows the script. During pre-season testing, bad news struck Aprilia. Jorge Martin suffered a serious injury, forcing him to miss the opening races of the season. In one instant, the team's entire balance of power shifted. The garage that once revolved around Martin suddenly lost its center of gravity, and with few alternatives, Aprilia had to appoint a new figure to steer the project. That name was Marco Bezzecchi. From a supporting rider, he suddenly became the backbone of the factory team, not only responsible for results on track, but also for the development of the RSGP, technical direction, and Aprilia's future in MotoGP. Bezzecchi knew very well this was no small role. In a statement widely quoted by the media, he said candidly, "Becoming a factory rider is the biggest challenge of my life." A simple sentence, but loaded with meaning. Behind it lay immense pressure, technical responsibility, and public expectations he had never faced before. Yet what was striking was that Bezzecchi didn't shy away from the burden. Instead, he stepped forward. He said, "I work with great people. From the start, the Aprilia felt incredible, so I could fight for the top 3 and often be on the podium." This wasn't just praise. It was an early signal that Bezzecchi was beginning to find his footing in a new world. MotoGP 2025 slowly became a story about a rider forced to grow up faster than he had planned. And this was the beginning of that bigger story, when Marco Bezzecchi, without a world champion's crown, was suddenly called upon to lead a factory team toward the future of MotoGP in 2026. A factory team is built on long-term planning, but when one main pillar collapses, the entire structure starts to shake. Jorge Martin's injury was not just bad technical news for Aprilia, it was a psychological blow to the entire team. From the very start of the 2025 project, Martin had been positioned as the center of gravity. Every major decision, from aerodynamics and chassis setup to tire management, was designed around his riding style. He wasn't just the fastest rider, he was the technical compass. When Martin was sidelined by a serious pre-season injury, Aprilia lost more than just points. They lost their primary reference. Inside the Noale garage, the atmosphere changed dramatically. Mechanics, engineers, and management were forced to adapt quickly. A project shaped over months had to be recalibrated in a matter of days. And in that void, all eyes turned to one name, Marco Bezzecchi. The pressure on Bezzecchi came from every direction, not only from the public and the media, but from within the team itself. Aprilia is a huge manufacturer with big ambitions, but without the long championship tradition of Honda or Yamaha. Every season is a reputational gamble. Without Jorge Martin, big questions emerged. Who would lead? Who would give direction? Who would take the risks? Bezzecchi, still adapting to a new bike and a different team culture, now faced a situation he had never experienced before. To make matters worse, the overall condition of the team was far from ideal. Raul Fernandez, another rider in the Aprilia project, struggled with physical issues that made his performances inconsistent. Meanwhile, Ai Ogura, newly promoted to the premier class, was still a rookie and clearly not ready to serve as a main technical reference. In other words, Aprilia was effectively standing on one leg, and that leg was Bezzecchi. In a notably honest interview, Bezzecchi acknowledged how heavy the situation was. Of course, it's very difficult for the whole manufacturer, especially with such high expectations around Jorge Martin. But what stood out was how he finished that thought. But the team didn't give up. They worked hard to get back to fighting at the front. That statement reflected a gradual shift in mindset. Bezzecchi was no longer speaking as an individual rider. He was speaking as a team representative, someone carrying a collective vision. Behind the scenes, Aprilia held intense meetings almost every race weekend. Data was reanalyzed, setups were simplified. The focus shifted from aggressive experimentation to foundational stability. And amid all that chaos, Bezzecchi found something unexpected: trust. Trust from the engineers, trust from the pit crew, and slowly, trust in himself. MotoGP 2025 began forming a new narrative, no longer about Jorge Martin's absence, but about who could stand firm when a grand plan collapsed. And for Marco Bezzecchi, this pressure became the ultimate test, whether he was just a fast rider or truly Aprilia's new leader. Not every rider is ready to lead, but sometimes circumstances force someone to grow faster than planned. For years, Marco Bezzecchi was known as part of the VR46 ecosystem, a loyal student of Valentino Rossi, a rider with an aggressive, emotional, instinct-driven style. In a satellite team, his role was clear: focus on speed, not heavy responsibility. But his move to Aprilia changed everything. In the factory garage, Bezzecchi was no longer asked only to set fast lap times. He was expected to think, analyze, and contribute to the technical direction of the RSGP. This shift became evident from the early rounds of the 2025 season. After climbing off the bike, Bezzecchi didn't immediately remove his helmet and head to the motorhome. He stayed longer with the engineers, pointing at data graphs, discussing traction, braking, and throttle response. Things that once belonged to senior riders now had to be learned quickly. The transformation wasn't easy. Bezzecchi admitted that early in the season, his mind was often divided. On one hand, he wanted to keep riding aggressively, his trademark since Moto2. On the other, he knew that small mistakes could derail the bike's development direction. At one point, he said, "I had to learn to ride with my head, not just my heart." That sentence marked a major turning point. Bezzecchi began adjusting his riding style, smoother on the throttle, more patient on corner entry, more consistent in managing the rear tire, a crucial element for the RSGP. The change didn't immediately show up in the standings, but for Aprilia, the real value was in the data. Every lap from Bezzecchi became a reference. Every comment he made influenced technical decisions, and slowly the Aprilia bike began to improve, more stable, easier to ride, and competitive across different types of circuits. Most importantly, Bezzecchi didn't lose his identity. He remained a bold rider, aggressive in battles, expressive on track. But now, that bravery was framed by maturity. In several races, he fought at the front and even reached the podium, not through recklessness, but through calculation. The media began to change the way they spoke about him. No longer Bezzecchi, Rossi's student.
but Bezzecchi, the leader of Aprilia's project. And this was the most significant shift of all. Bezzecchi was no longer just racing through a season. He was building a foundation for the future, not only for himself, but for Aprilia heading into MotoGP 2026. This mental transformation would determine everything, because in MotoGP, speed can bring podiums, but leadership is what carries a manufacturer into a new era. If you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, because the MotoGP story is always changing, and we'll keep following it all the way to the finish line.